Morning, everybody. How are you? It's lovely to see you all. Hope you're all wide awake. Put your phones away. It's my assembly today, and we are going to be talking a little bit about sport. But we're going to try and take some sport and apply it to our everyday lives and some of the seven C's, and see what we can learn from the greatest sportsmen and women of all time. So while I'm speaking, have a little look at that screen. See if you can think about, or see if you can identify any of those sportsmen and women on the screen. I've known I've had this assembly coming up since Christmas, and I've been talking to loads of people trying to say, right, who's the greatest? Who do you think? Who do you think? And the more people I spoke to, the harder it became. It's a difficult thing to narrow down. It really does depend on what age you are, what sport you're into, and then you start to look at, well, when you look at these, you narrow it down to some names. You think, well, how many world titles have they won? How many people actually play that sport? I mean, 250 million people play football, but not as many people row or play tennis. So is that a fair comparison? So it became really tough, and I've actually changed my approach for this assembly. And I actually don't want to name who I think the greatest sportsman and woman is, but I do want to look at some of maybe the characteristics that they have and share. So on the screen, two people that we know well, and when I speak to a lot of the students about who do you think is the greatest sportsman or women of all time, instantly people say we get into this Ronaldo Messi argument. And I don't think it's an argument. I don't even think it's a conversation. They haven't finished their playing careers. They are having an impact of the game. They will be the greatest of their generation. But some of the people we're going to talk about go a bit further back in history. So you're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to talk to you through some of the sports people, their backgrounds, so you can sort of understand where I'm coming from. But this isn't an argument for me. This is playground rubbish. One's more interested in his Instagram followers. The other one only has ever played in one league, and neither of them play for Chelsea, so they're definitely not getting my vote. So we're going to start with tennis. I've put commitment on the bottom. A state or quality of being dedicated to a cause or activity. I don't think we can argue about these two professions. Dedication to tennis, both number ones in the men's and women's game. Both won multiple Grand Slams. I mean, Federer into his 20 Grand Slams, Serena 23 individual singles. She's also won 39 Grand Slams if you include the doubles ones that she won with her sister Venus. I just wanted to link this to commitment a little bit for Roger Federer. He's playing in an era where there's actually three top quality tennis players. Now he's got Djokovic. They are the big three. It's never been like that in the history of tennis. So not only has he had to perform to his best, he's really committed to try and beat them all the time. He's been the world number one for 310 weeks. That takes dedication and commitment. Serena not only competes individually, she competes in the doubles, and she plays more games than Roger. And so therefore she has to really stick at the game and try really hard. So both of them, excellent examples. Are they your greatest sportsmen of all time? This name was these athletes' names were given to me over Twitter. I put a question out: who would yours be? And I got quite a good response. The late young performer on the left, Nadia Comaneci, a Romanian gymnast from 1976. She's 14 in that picture. And the guy on the right, Koichi Uchimura, he's actually a more modern athlete. He came onto the scene in 2012. Both of them innovative in gymnastics. Nadia in the 76 Olympics, she was the first gymnast to get the score of a perfect 10. And then in the next two Olympics she went to, she scored 8 more perfect 10s. So not happy with what's gone on before, not copying other people. She's going into these gymnastic events, being creative, coming up with new ideas and really pushing the boundaries of that sport. That linked really nice to Koichi Uchimura. He is the only male gymnast to have won a gold in every discipline in gymnastics in 2012. Everybody was like, "This is groundbreaking. He is already one of the greatest. He's only been around for one Olympics." Well, then in 2016 he followed that up and he did it again. So really, it's groundbreaking. Both of these gymnasts showing their creativity. So two track athletes here. Obviously, we might recognise the one on the left, and that's obviously Usain Bolt. And then we've got Jacqueline Joyner Kersey, an American retired. She's retired now, but she was a track athlete. When I typed it, obviously I don't know all of these athletes, so I typed in the greatest athletes of all time. Usain Bolt's name comes up. Jacqueline's was the number one, and Sports Illustrated rated her the greatest female athlete of all time. She was the all-time greatest heptathlete. When I've read a little bit into her, not only was she the Olympic gold medalist in the Olympics over several years, she also competed in the 100, the 200, and the long jump, separate disciplines. So she was not only could do all of the events in the heptathlete, she also competed on an individual basis. Usain Bolt, I'm not going to go through it all, but 8-time Olympic champion, 11-time world champion. From 2009 to 2015, at the World Championships, he won the 100, the 200, and the 4x100. That 6-year period, the most successful athlete at the World Championship. The guy is an icon. Okay, so both of these athletes demonstrate confidence. These type of events, you need to be confident. I was reading an article about these sprint events. They're so short; anything can happen in a small amount of time. One mistake and you're out of the race. You have to go into these events with confidence. And the way they carry themselves when they're on the start lines against their competitors, you have to be confident. So we all have to be confident in our lives, and we can learn from both of these athletes. This one's interesting, curiosity, and it's not a tedious link at all. And curiosity is heavily associated with aspects of human development. It's also linked to learning and a desire to acquire skill or knowledge. Both of these swimmers, Michael Phelps on the right and Tracy Ann Chalkins, an American swimmer, she swam just before Phelps. I actually read a really nice article on her, and it said at one point she held every American record in every stroke, in every distance. She was Phelps before Phelps. She swam in around the 80s. She missed going to her first Olympics because it was in the 1980s. There was a boycott of the Moscow Olympics. A-level PE students in watching this, you know all about that. So speak to your friends. So although she missed that, she did go on to have 48 national championships. She broke several records. She retired having broke 63 American records. That leaves us to talk about Phelps. Again, in his own right, possibly a really good example of a GOAT, the world's greatest. He is he's the most successful, most decorated Olympian of all time. He has 28 medals. He's got 23 gold medals. He's got 13 in individual events, and he's got 16 Olympic medals in other individual events. He's got 82 international medals in competitions. He has more medals than 161 countries. So he's regarded as the greatest swimmer of all time. How does this link to curiosity? Well, swimming is one of the most technical disciplines. There's so many different things. When you're in water, there's different angles, there's different ways you can move your arms, there's different ways you can go through the water. There's so many different elements that you can change. So these athletes have to be curious in their approach, developing their training and their techniques. So if they do not they go into it in detail and they don't want to tweak their techniques, they will fall behind. Swimming is one of those events where records are broken every competition, championships, Olympics. There are records broken because you can change so much. So you need to be curious in your approach. How curious are you in your approach to your subjects? Or do you just go with the flow and believe what the teacher tells you? Maybe we could all be a little bit more curious. I really like this picture. So I've included it. It's got all his Olympic medals, and he's got some jazzy swimming shorts. I've actually got the same pair myself. So moving on, this is our first feature of our team games. Okay, hopefully you recognise some of the people in that picture. So on the left we've got Susan Bird, an extremely famous women's basketball player. She played in the women's NBA. She was one of the first that was nominated to go into their Hall of Fame. She's Israeli American background. She really took the league by storm. She's won several individual medals. Um, an excellent example of a professional women's basketball player. And then on the right, again, shouldn't have to read too much about Michael Jordan. You've probably all owned a pair of trainers with his name on, but 15 seasons in the NBA, 6 championships with the Chicago Bulls. I just wanted to read this statement from the NBA website. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. He was integral to helping popularize the NBA across the world in the 1980s and 90s, becoming a global cultural icon in the process. He has got several personal accolades. But collaboration there. I wonder if you spoke to these two athletes, if they did it all on their own accord. Any of you watched that really good series on the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan? He talked in episodes 2 and 3, I think it is. They talk about Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and how Jordan really struggled when they weren't in the side. Well, that's what team sport is about, and we do need people around us. So collaboration maybe helped to lift these two performers to the levels that they got to. Craftsmanship, a skill in a particular craft. I really like this word, and I've got two. I'm going to use again team sports. I've got Mia Hamm on the left and Pele on the right. Both superb football players. I mean, Mia Hamm, she was the face of the USA women's football team in the 90s. When Jordan was doing all his work with the Chicago Bulls and really driving basketball, Mia Hamm was on the same level, and they did a lot of adverts together for Nike, and they did it to a song that said, "Anything you can do, I can do better." And she really was on the same level as Michael Jordan in terms of her popularity and how famous she was. She is a soccer icon, as well as being a soccer icon in the girls' game. We have Pele, and Pele, again, a Brazilian football player, he played in his first World Cup in '58. He's the only football player to have won 3 World Cups. He played in '58, '62, and '70. When people use this word, the beautiful game, it was that Pele that they used. He was known as creating the beautiful game for his electrifying pace, the way he took players on. He really played the game well. Just think about this for all of you. Yellow and red cards were only introduced in 1970 World Cup. He would have got kicked all over the pitch. So not only was he getting kicked and fouled, he could still play the game beautifully. He demonstrated craftsmanship. So really good 2 examples. Obviously, Pele is a worldwide ambassador for football, and he was named by FIFA as the world's greatest football player. Could he be the #1 greatest sports person of all time? Finally, linking the 7 C's to communication. Boxers with their fists. No, only joking. They communicate in other ways, and communication can be speaking, writing, or any other medium. That both of these performers used communication both in their roles and in their future careers and what they've gone on to do. So Lucia Rijeka, Dutch boxer. When I typed in the greatest female boxers, I was hoping to get Nicola Adams or Katie Taylor, but they didn't feature. But this lady did. She was known as the most dangerous woman in the world, and it was a nickname given to her by the media. She had a complete 17-0 career, a kickboxer, then a boxer. She retired in 2004, and then she went into acting. She was in $1 Million Baby, and now she is an actress. So not only very talented boxer, but used her skills and her communication skills to then go on to be an actor. Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, shouldn't need much of an introduction. Massive boxer. One of the biggest things about him was he had a really sharp tongue, and he was in. Most people would use their managers to speak for them. He was really outlandish. He would use trash talking. He freestyled a little bit, and there was hip hop going on at the same time, and it was really entertaining. If you do get a chance to see any of his interviews, go for it. He had 1 billion viewers in the Rumble in the Jungle when he fought Foreman. He objected to going to the Vietnam War, and he went to prison for that. And actually, he became an icon for a bit of a counterculture. He was a really big activist for the civil rights movement in America. So not only was he a boxer, he also influenced a lot of other things. Does that give him a big stake for being, well, the greatest sports person of all time? Possibly. So just to finish, and I do hope you've got time, I wanted to put a little video on because I've got some of these people saying a few words. So listen to what they say, see if we can take some of their feelings into what we do, because it's not about skill and talent. It's about hard work, grit, determination. So have a listen. I hope you've enjoyed my assembly. Have a lovely day. Come and see me and speak to me about my greatest sportsman, and I'll let you know what I think. See you later.